Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Queeries. I'm Ty. This week we're going to be talking about tarot and spirituality with our friend Byron Holzberger. And then we're also going to be talking a little bit about some of the things that you can expect from Queeries in the future. But for now, I'd like to throw out a couple of local organizations that I think deserve a shout out on the show. I want to talk about Toast and Coffee. It's a little shop over on Robinson, just off of 23rd. It's a really cozy queer-owned coffee shop / cafe. I'm a little biased because Slayde works there and he is their newest barista. You can catch them there Thursday through Sunday. I also want to talk a little bit about Sisu Youth Services. They are a local nonprofit. They provide shelter for at-risk and houseless youth. Their overnight shelter is open 7 nights a week for ages 15 to 22. Drop-in Resource Center is open daily for everyone 15 to 24. You can find out more at sisuyouth.org, but they're just a really great organization that is just a real bastion here in OKC for helping out, at-risk LGBTQ youth. It's people and groups like Sisu and small businesses like Toast and Coffee that keep our queer community thriving here in OKC. They're a vital part of our community and just keeping everyone thriving. So I really just wanted to give them a moment to just talk about how great some of our queer-led organizations are here in OKC. But with that, I'm going to throw it over to Slayde, and he is going to talk a little bit more about what you can expect from Queeries in the future.
Thank you so much for throwing it over to me, Ty. I very much appreciate your company. I wanted to give you all a little bit of an update as to the status of Queeries. We've been going through a lot of change, as you can tell just by the intros and the different kinds of segments we're doing. We're just trying to find our niche and find and understand who we are as a little crew. We started calling the bigger operation here Any All Productions. So that's what we're going to be using as our overarching name. Queeries Pod is a product of that production company. We are trying to expand and use Any All Productions as a way to give people platforms. So that's going to be our way into that kind of media hub talk that I had brought about at the way beginning, is give us an ability to provide a platform. So in July, the second and last Mondays will be whenever our episodes premiere. So Queeries will become a bi-weekly podcast. We will still be focused on some very important topics, and we'll still be having some guests every now and then. The podcast will not be going anywhere. We're definitely going to be staying present and accounted for here. We are a platform. If you have any interest in having a spot on our channel, I guess, and releasing something with our name, hit us up. Let us know. We, of course, are going to go through these things.
Oh, and I also just want to say, if you have any ideas for Queeries or any suggestions for topics that you want us to cover, feel free to shout those out. Give it to us in the comments. Give it to us in the DMs. We'll take it anywhere. Back to you.
I do take it anywhere. I really just wanted to come on here and thank you all so much for all of the progress that we have made on the other side of the camera. You all are a huge, if not the big part of what we do. We are here as a community advocacy podcast, which is why we're supplying shout outs to our community and why we're bringing in people from our community to highlight said community. So thank you again so much for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Dylon for our Kiki in the Corner with Dylon, and Byron Holzberger is joining us. So thank you and enjoy today's episode.
Hello, welcome everyone back to Queeries. I'm Dylon.
I'm Slayde.
And I'm Byron.
And then welcome to our episode 6, which is going to be all about tarot and the queer experience associated with, practicing that and also being in a queer coven as well. So our first little dive that we want to go into is kind of just how it's impacted you personally. So what kind of benefits, habits have you picked up, things you've learned since you've started, practicing tarot and being a part of, a queer coven. Slayde, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I started doing tarot back in I would say 2021-ish, similar to whenever I went to my first Pride. I was really doing a lot of exploration that summer. Mm-hmm. I was really getting more tight-knit with the community at UCO, and within them, they were plenty of people who were into astrology, horoscopes, like tarot, all that stuff. So it was really a nice way to just like jump right in and enjoy that. I didn't necessarily have a coven at the time. We just kind of talked and stuff at school. It wasn't that serious. We didn't take it that serious. Whereas recently with our coven that we all share now, it's been a lot more persistent, consistent, and really important to my soul and like the growth that I have in here. When I'm able to sit down and connect with the people who are very close to me and find a way to address conversations and like work through things, but also like celebrate each other and celebrate our strengths and weaknesses through tarot and through like being in a coven and like learning how to talk to one another.
It's very much like group therapy at times. You really
Yes.
kind of get to just spill all the beans and trust the people that you're around. And since it is a queer space, it often lends itself to you having your walls down and being more vulnerable. And tarot has really given me a lot of push to, figure some things out, especially some personal things and matters that I want to change on like a deeper level or get to understand about myself. I feel like it really helps me figure that part of myself out, especially my queerness too.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first experience with tarot, I had a friend in college who would read for friends, like I do now. And it was really fun, and I thought it was cool. And I was like, I kind of want to learn how to do this. But life was busy. I went to grad school for counseling. Didn't really have time to explore it until my second degree in counseling. And for some reason, it kind of lined up, me exploring tarot lined up whenever I was doing practicum and internship, which is when you're working with clients directly under supervision. And it just, for me, what the benefits that came out were I already had those basic counseling skills of like active listening, paying attention to body language, reflecting. And so tarot was kind of like a tool for me to deepen my conversation with somebody. And in my theories class, we learned about something called narrative therapy, where you really work with a client to help them tell their story and re-story the parts of their life that like need healing and need to be told in a new and healthier way. And I was like, oh, this is weirdly exactly kind of like tarot when you're reading for other people. Like tarot for me is narrative therapy. It's all about just connecting with someone in a relational way, helping them tell their story, helping them make meaning of their life. And that's like a really rewarding experience to do as the tarot reader, but also it's like fun to do for yourself. So
yeah, my first experience doing tarot actually wasn't with queer people, it was with women. So I was the only like male presenting most of the time person during our coven, and having really strong women like teach me Wiccan and teach me tarot and teach me how to do like ritual and seance and just being there for meditation together and supporting each other. And that's kind of like the real backbone of how it started for me. So I was able to really learn kind of like what the crystals meant and, how to cleanse a room and how to start off your chants. And so I had a really good starting point with them. And then I moved up here and got involved with, some gays and some queers, and our little tarot group formed. And I've been so super excited with like the growth we've shared and the experiences we've been able to dissect together. And kind of going into that, I really kind of want to discuss like the basics of tarot, kind of like what it is, kind of define it a little bit more for our viewers. So tarot kind of helps with, tearing down the binaries that we have in life. It's not so strict on masculine, feminine, good, bad. It kind of has a lot of dualities and blended energies. So some cards can be positive, but also read you at the same time. So kind of, what does that look like in your readings? Do you find that duality pretty easy to control, Byron?
Yeah, I mean, I think the duality particularly comes up whenever you are reading cards and you do reversals. So for those of you who don't know tarot, whenever you flip your card, right, and it's face up, the imagery and like the text is facing you, that's like just a normal read, right? But then when you flip it over and like the image is reversed, that's a reversal. And reversals are a little bit tricky because they slightly change the meaning of the card. It can kind of go 3 different ways. So one way is that card's energy is blocked is kind of the interpretation. So for example, if we had the 3 of Pentacles, that's a card that's like all about like collaboration and building on each other's strengths, creating something amazing, right? So if I had that reversed, that might indicate, oh, like you're kind of not being able to voice your opinion in this group. You're not connecting with each other. There's something that's getting in the way of teamwork, right? The other interpretation of reversal is that card's energy is like too much. And so then it's like, okay, in the case of like teamwork and collaboration, it's like, oh, am I actually not speaking my voice enough? I'm trying to be too accommodating to other people. Therefore, we're not taking steps forward because I'm not actually contributing to the conversation and putting my skills and knowledge to what we're trying to build here. And then lastly, the third interpretation is like an internal perspective of like, is your internal experience, are you collaborating with yourself? Are you in alignment with what you are wanting to build? I guess would be like the question tied to like an internal. So it's tricky, and you kind of have to go with your intuition and the person you're reading for, whether that's for yourself or the other person, to kind of decide which of those interpretations is the right one. So yeah, there is a lot of duality and a lot of like gray space to kind of interpret cards. The other major factor is like, you as the tarot reader have an idea of what the cards mean, but more importantly, like who you're reading for and their interpretation, what they take away and what they assign meaning to is like even more important. And so tarot is about bringing those interpretations together and fusing them and making sense together. Like no one interpretation is like better than the other. It's just like, here's what I get. Here's what I get. Okay, together we think this is what this means.
Yeah, and it's all about that conversation of like, this is how I'm seeing this. Do you have this? Is this kind of theme happening in your life right now? Then it gives them the opportunity to open up a little bit and be a little bit more vulnerable. And then it's like, oh, okay, this now I can further interpret the card,
right?
Because you've now given me more information. You've let me in a little bit deeper, and I'm like, okay, this has some deeper meaning to it, and we need to talk maybe about an angle about this card or like the specific object that's in the card, because a lot of those cards have very specific meanings, and especially the objects on some of the cards. Remember, the 7 of Cups has like all these different options of cups and like what's in them, and it's all about like you have all of these choices, but it's really hard for your brain to attach to one. I think you've called it the ADHD
card.
She comes up in my brain very often, but we have to have the knowledge sometimes about a person in order to fully read their tarot and like understand exactly what those cards can be saying for them.
Correct.
It's also just an interpretation. We also interpret other things in life, and each and every person interprets them differently based on their perspective and like how they've studied that. Yeah.
I think because queer individuals often have to navigate life outside of like the binary and gender sexuality norms. So tarot, I feel like really helps, with learning that fluidity and learning that adaptability and being okay with it. And also the cards are very that themselves. Like sometimes you can interpret the 3 of cards as, 3 of Pentacles. So, as collaboration and teamwork, but you can also see it as something else, something bigger or more intact than what it means, like face value, like reading the cards, seeing what the symbols are, what you can relate to that to your real life. So it leads a lot to the imagination.
Yeah, I would say if you're wanting to get into tarot and you've never done it before, don't approach it as like, I need to learn the exact meaning of each card. You want to be a little bit more loose and dynamic with your interpretation and reading and get a general theme. Tarot's about themes and widening our understanding. Because if we're so like strict about, oh, this card always means this, that usually ends up you're lost and you're like, I can't figure out what this means because it doesn't really speak to me, right? So you have to always go back to that person and be like, how does this show up in your life? What is coming up for you right now? Because obviously we can't be in their headspace and know what event or memory or thing that's like triggering for them as they're looking at the imagery of the card and you're talking about its meaning.
Yeah.
They have to be able to, you have to help them tell that story and indicate that association for it to have more meaning.
Absolutely.
I'd like to mention that Byron is somebody who has started a lot of people's tarot journey, including myself. They bought my first tarot deck at Craig's Emporium. It was a cute little date. It was so nice. We got some HTO and then we met for HTO and went and got some.
Yes, we did.
We got some tea. We had some tea time while in Craig's picking out a tarot deck. Also another tea. It was just a lot of like looking at something and trying to feel any kind of emotional connection to it. The deck I ended up getting is one that is different than normal decks. And so I have to look into a book that's specific to my deck, interpret what that says, and then be like, okay, now I have a bigger book that you've taught us a lot of things from that I bought, and kind of compare the two and see what really speaks to me. I really like the book that you were using in our tarot group and then our coven, and then proceeded to let everyone in on that secret. Yeah. So several of us have bought that book now because we're
it's
invested.
A good resource.
We're invested and it's a fabulous resource. It has a lot of different.
It dives in a little bit deeper than like the booklet that comes with your tarot. It helps you interpret it more into like a deep dive. And so, kind of what you should do as an action, what you should do for meditation, what you should do for this certain instance. Yeah, it gives you kind of like different ways to go about it if you're looking for something more specific.
It gives you those questions to kind of help point you in directions of like, hey, is this where this card is going? Or is this where this card is going? Like reflect on a lot of these things and try to understand them a little bit more. Because, it's all about that self. Like we're trying to feed into the self and understand self a little bit more. And that's a journey that a lot of people think is so crazy and like you're a witch, you're a wizard, Harry. Like they think it's wild whenever someone's like trying to truly understand themselves and understand how your impact spreads to others, because that's kind of what community and covens and all of that is us coming together and be creating
trust,
like a cloud of people. Like we're together as one whenever we are together.
I think like looking inward and examining the self, like that's something that queer people do at a very early age compared to cishet people.
You preach it, girl.
Because you're living in a world that's
not built for you.
It's not built for you. Immediately you're met with messages of like, oh, being queer is shameful, is bad, is sinful, all these like negative messages. Even if you have like supporting parents, you still get these messages like I did. And so you really have to know yourself and then know how to, at least when you're like not out and you're just trying to survive, how to like hide the parts of you that don't fit with the rest of the world, right? As a way to protect, as a way to survive. And then like once we're adults, we kind of like take back that power and take back our queerness, and we're like, no, actually I don't need to conform to this world that wasn't built for me. The world needs to catch up to me, darling. And so like that experience, like a lot of cishet people don't necessarily have to go through. It
takes a lot for them to get there. They need that extra push sometimes of some kind of I don't want to say a suffering of some kind, but like kind of.
Yeah.
We have to go through a hardship and adversity and like trauma to like get an action pushed on us to say, okay, this is where we have to stop. Yeah. And we have to reflect and we have to change. And that all takes going and looking in here. And that is really hard for people who aren't used to looking in the mirror and actually liking the person they're seeing. And like being able to look at the person in the mirror and say, hey, I love the way you look. I love the way you talk. I love the way you breathe. I love the way you mannerism, whatever it is. Queer people kind of have to learn how to do that because we only get the reflections in the mirror, because the people around us don't often reflect who we are growing up, because we're truly this person who's like stuck with mirrors on the outside of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't, no mirrors reflecting them. They're just reflecting everyone else back to them. Because they're trying to blend in. They're trying to find their spot because the world isn't made for us. Mm-hmm. We have to make it for us.
Make our own spaces, like Queer Tarot. And that's a big part of like the queer narrative. And like, I feel like you can look into tarot and look at the Fool's Journey as that queer narrative. Because he kind of goes through the major arcana, and you can read those as metaphors for queer self-discovery. Because you start out as the outsider, as the fool, and you have to start at that beginning point and realize like, okay, I am kind of nuanced, novice. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to express myself. I don't know like how to handle my queerness. And then you kind of have to confront those systems, as in the Emperor and the Hierophant, and really kind of test your knowledge of, am I going to trust what's being told to me, or am I going to do my own self-discovery and be my own person and not let other laws or people's thoughts, feelings tell you what to do or how to act or how to be. And then you get into a place where you feel comfortable embracing your identity and your transformation, kind of like death, the devil, the star. It's all of that really big change in how you come out of it. And hopefully you find all this self-love for yourself and you emerge a really bright star. And it just gives you a place to go, a direction to follow, trust yourself. And then kind of you just arriving at a unique version of queerness at the end, being the world and having that clear introspection of all that I just had to do. And now I'm here. And now I kind of get to world is my oyster vibe and kind of tackle it however you see fit.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't had fun with tarot, I encourage you to get your own deck. I'll take you to Craig's. It's out there. I will take you to Craig's.
Y'all gotta take them.
But what Dylon's talking about when they say major arcana is there's 22 cards that have these beautiful imagery and associated with different things, like the Fool, like the Magician, the Emperor, the Tower, like all these like big energy kind of cards that tell a bigger story. And then you have your minor arcana in the tarot deck. So those are usually made up of 4 different suits. In classic Rider-Waite, that's the cups, the pentacles, the wands, and the swords. And each of those are associated with a different element and a different area in your life, but they represent maybe like smaller changes or smaller droplets in your story that you're telling. Whereas the major arcana are like big plot twist, big chapter, big moment for whoever it is you're reading for. And yeah, themes that come up through tarot that I really love are cycles, rebirth, change. Like the Fool's Journey, like Dylon was saying, it kind of starts out very external of here's what I'm going to learn from the world. And then it shifts, and the next like set of tarot cards is like, okay, let me withdraw and look in and figure out who I am. Now that I've figured out what other people say about the world, let me consolidate this and figure out what it means for me. And then it evolves into, okay, you're super conscious. I'm back in the world. Now I'm telling you who I am. And this is how I make sense of the world. And that's why the world is like the end of the major arcana, because you've gone through that journey of processing who you are, what your purpose is here, like what you want to do with your life. And now you're ready to like share that with others and start the next journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's all about that, like those taking up the steps and the Fool being that first introduction to the person and the idea and going through the journeys. All of them are kind of different the more you go through them. And I think that whenever we're interpreting cards, we're often interpreting them from the certain perspective that we're having that day in that moment. And so sometimes those can have a little bit of a skew to them or a bias. So I think it's always that good step to take of like, okay, let's interpret this first from a point of just the fact, the blank slate of this is the card, this is what the card tells me. Let's understand that and see how that fits into this all above situation. And then pulling back from that, or no, now we're not pulling back again. We're diving in this time. We're going in.
Going deep.
We're going deep in to introspect and understand how this specific card plays a specific part in my specific life today.
Right.
And it can be you ask a question and it helps you with some guidance on the question. Or you do like a 7-card spread and it's all about these different avenues. It's just wherever the placement is extremely important in how we interpret the card too. That book that I've already mentioned has a lot of really good spreads that are varying in sizes and varying in meanings, complexities, and they have like guides through them. And it's just, I mean, honestly, Byron is the best guide I've ever met when it comes to tarot. Byron is like a maiden mother crone over here.
High Priestess Supreme.
That part.
Yeah, she is a really good resource, and definitely helps the children learn. And I feel like is a major source of inspiration for a lot of people when it comes to tarot. They weren't my first introduction to tarot, but they were the most impactful person with tarot for me. So
whenever I get the opportunity to come to tarot, because it's not every single time, unfortunately, because life is happening also. I do try to make it a big effort because, again, like I've mentioned, it's really big for myself to be able to have that kind of self-exploration and interpretation. And going into your home, I'm able to have that safe space because I know you as a person. I know your background professionally. All of the amalgamation of you is a reason that I feel comfortable going into spaces with tarot and understanding myself better.
Yeah.
Because you do a great job of reflecting and hearing us speak on what we see and then going, okay, I can see that. This is also something you could consider. But I really let's twist them together and let's really understand it. So you do a fantastic job. And I'm all about giving you your cookies, Mama, because you do the hard work on your daily basis. We're working with these children out here wilding out with Nick Cannon, all 13 of his children. So it's a blessing.
It's also, I feel like, allows us to be kind of liberated as well, because queerness is all about reclaiming your power and finding space in institutions that take away our personal or spiritual freedom. It kind of gives us an alternative way to view the world outside of the religious traditional way that we grew up, which for most of us was Christian or whatever your religion may be. It loves to historically exclude queer people. So tarot does not. Tarot is all about introspection and becoming the better version of yourself. And so I feel like that is the main theme missing from a lot of religions growing up that taught us that being queer was, like you said, not great. So
historically, a group of tarot practitioners has never, tried to overthrow a nation or kill people because they believe something different or oppress peoples because they have different beliefs. I'm just saying, people who practice tarot, not necessarily a group of people wanting power and violence.
No. It's a cool.
All you people saying tarot is witchcraft and bad and evil. Look at the history books, Darlene. Tarot practitioners have not committed genocide.
At least to my knowledge. I just feel like it impacts a lot of us. And, if more people just understood that is the place that tarot is coming from, and that's, the principles that it's trying to teach in practice, it just is all about that self-discovery and that self-love and getting to know yourself. So, that's a lot of things that I feel like religion doesn't teach you, because it's all about your relationship to God or
higher power.
Higher power. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you're not in touch with yourself. You're in touch with an imaginary person that you're going to try to meet at some point.
Yeah.
In the afterlife. But I'm worried about right now and going on the life that I'm currently living. So I need to fix those problems and not worrying about somebody fixing them for me when I'm dead,
Well, I think it's similar to Buddhism. Tarot can be added to your spiritual or religious practices. It's not something that has to be separate. it obviously is more like atheist and agnostic friendly because there isn't like
a god
being a
aspect.
god aspect, or like because
there's a universe kind of
there's
vibe.
a universe. There's the like, I guess the spirit of the world, I guess, would be the highest.
Yes, Mother Nature.
Right? Like, but yeah, it's
I believe it's called the Force.
the Force.
Oh, yes, the Force.
But yeah, there's nobody. When you do tarot, you're not doing it in praise of somebody. You're doing it for you or for that other person.
Yeah.
The journey is about growth, not necessarily I'm doing this so that I can go to heaven or so that I can be perceived as a good person.
That part.
Like, it's just, we're connecting just to connect.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about communication and trust.
Yeah.
Because it's not to say, like, we're saying the same things of, like, religion and tarot can both provide you with a better feeling of self.
Mm-hmm.
Those are both aspects that are similar.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is that religion kind of has to shove some things down your throat and, like,
Correct.
they like to indoctrinate and just, like, put a blanket over you and say, this is all you get.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas tarot's like, hey, you can get out from under the blanket just for like a little bit if you want. Just come over here, see me, do little cards, and then you can go back under the blanket if you really want to.
Right.
But you're able to be free out here with the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you can peek under the blanket if you want. Like, you don't have to necessarily put yourself in there all again. Like, it's good to just learn that there's options to explore. And, like, Buddhism that you've mentioned was one thing that you've also introduced me to.
Yeah.
I mean, another religion besides Buddhism that really works well with tarot and that mindset of self-discovery and finding your self-worth is Wicca.
Yeah.
That's something that I have been practicing a lot. Like, if someone was asking me my religion, that's my response. Because it's all about kind of just self-discovery, learning through the elements, especially like very nature focused, really making the elements a really key part of your day-to-day and making sure they're important in like ritual and practice, and you don't forget like what those mean and like how they're connected. And Wicca kind of just got to me because it was a way to me to get out of like the heteronormative, like cisgender Christianity teachings that I was brought up with. And it really challenges the norms and stuff around queerness and how I tackle my gender and my sexuality, because it's all about, believing in yourself, providing yourself sanctuary, and it just excluding others from like harm, and just really trying to protect your peace and the peace of those you care about.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed learning the Wiccan rituals you've shared with our tarot coven. And it's I don't know, like, religion is a way of like, it's oppressive in nature, in that you're like, you're defining, this is what we believe in, and these are the rules. Whereas like spirituality, which is like how you practice religion, is more open and free.
Awesome.
And so that's why I would never call like tarot a religion.
No, it's definitely a practice.
Or Buddhism a religion, right? These are forms of spirituality because it's the practice of your beliefs and how you want to move through the world. And you're not trying to impose that onto other people.
My journey with like religion had pushed me to a point where I had to understand the difference between spirituality and religion and how that like actually plays a part in my life. Religion always, because of the oppressive nature of it, felt like something I had to do, not something I practiced to do
or wanted to do.
Whereas spirituality, all of that was a choice, and like I can feel something when I'm doing a spiritual activity, like fully in my body. And like I've had those moments when I'm practicing the religion that I previously was, but that's because I was spiritually doing a practice.
Correct. Yeah.
Doing it for yourself and your own.
Yes. And the intentions, as we've talked about several times within our coven, intentions are what we really have to set forward whenever we're working with tarot cards or any kind of more higher thinking, higher thought processes. You have to have those good intentions put forward, because if you're going in it with bad intentions, you're going to read it with bad intentions.
Right.
And most of the time the cards will read you
Yeah.
if you're and so like they could be your best Judy and be like, hey girl, you're doing great, keep doing your zhuzh. And then other times it'd be like, actually you need to change that and chop right now. So it's just kind of like the mindset, the question you propose, then just the vibe of the day. And I usually do my tarot readings and like Wiccan practices within like cycles of the full and new moon. I feel like that's a really easy way for me to keep track of it and to pace myself and I just feel like that's a comfortable speed for me. Spirituality, it's not something I do every day. I don't do daily tarot readings. I feel like they're more so when I need them or around my coven with like set goals and intentions in place to foster that community growth, which I am very much a fan of, and a really big reason why I love our queer community in our tarot community is because it gives us people that get it, that understand where we're coming from, what we're speaking about, and it's not just gay individuals, it's bi individuals, genderqueer people, so you get to see the world from a lot of different POVs, and some questions or some readings that I interpret aren't what others interpret for me, and they're like, hold on, wait, sister, I have some 2 cents to chime in, and I'm like, okay, what is it? What am I not seeing?
But I'm gonna go with this.
It helps because it does burst your bubble and makes you think, oh, maybe that's not the perception I think it is. Maybe I can think of how others view it, and it's nice.
I think that's why I started the Lunar Tarot Nights was I really did enjoy doing tarot on my own and had a lot of personal growth and meditation and reflections of my values and where I want to go in the world. But then I was like, but I want to hear more perspectives. I want to be challenged by maybe some of the interpretations, or maybe somebody has a different way of looking at this that could then help me the next step or what this means. There's so much joy in like hearing other people be like, I think this is what the card means actually. And then you get to like sit there with that for a minute and be like, does that fit? Does that not fit? And like oftentimes it does fit. And so that's like cool, like a really cool moment to be a part of that process of helping somebody discover something different or new that they didn't see before.
Yeah. We talked with Kylan a lot last week about queer joy and how that's something that is very contagious and something that we need to be creating more of and providing more space for it. And we were talking about pride, of course, and providing the space for it. But you do that with our Lunar Tarot group, our coven. You are providing a space for us. You're allowing everyone who wants to be there and has a pure interest in it to be present.
Yeah.
And
you're also a dommy mommy, and you're like, if you're not with it, then
if you don't know,
the curve's over there, mama.
If you do know, you know.
Because it's all about chosen family and the concept of like deeply getting in touch with your queer life. Because covens are often just magical circles of queer people who form an intimate, close bond that is just trust-based. And you get to really let your heart out and letting other people chime in and being like, hey, this is how I interpret it, and it gives you a different perspective on how to view yourself and your actions and what you could do to help you. And it's really community-based, and you really take into account what others have to say. And it's really nice.
It's a practice of vulnerability. It's a practice of sharing our power. And even though, like, because when you guys are talking about, you're like the supreme, but like, I still, which I do own a little bit. But at the same time, like each of you have that within you as well. Like I just happen to be a little further along my tarot journey based on how I practiced and got familiar with the cards. It's like ideally we like very soon. I'm imagining even like we're already kind of getting there. Of like all of us are our own supreme, and all of us have our own unique way of reading and interpreting cards and helping others interpret the cards. And like that's really exciting for me because it's shared power. Like that's what it comes down to with being in a coven or being in a community, whether it's the queer community, is that everybody is like equal. Like equitable and equal. Like we all are giving the best parts of ourselves.
We give the
create
floor to everyone.
Yeah. Like everyone's invited to the table. We reflect on who's not here, and or are there people who don't feel like they're here, and what can we do to make it so that they do feel
More
present and respected. And like that's the beauty of like the queer community and overlap of like witches and coven. It's just like there's no struggle for power because we all are all about like sharing the wealth and sharing the power and sharing the knowledge. It's like not.
And that comes from that comfortability of knowing that we know our own worth in your space and in your presence. You provide knowledge of everyone's ability to be their full authentic selves.
Or even just performing it at other places too, like other people in our covens, just having the intent and the want to like, hey, like I would love to host this and this is my plan for a tarot session, and having people get really involved and being like, I would love to, have it at my house. I would love to have a ritual based on this, or I may need some extra help and, just extra blessing or, magical properties towards that person. So it's nice to see that your influence has made it more other people feel like they're our own supreme. So
Thank you.
And it's a different way to like help people through things. Like we've talked about religion and how Christianity, often they do the prayer and praying over hands and stuff like that. That's kind of their way of giving love and sacred energy to another person. Whereas tarot, it's all about like providing that love through interpretation and through your words and how you convey your tones and your love towards the other person. It's not that it is different, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
But it's again calling that idea that they can coexist.
Yeah.
And there's no damage being done as long as damage isn't being done.
Yeah.
So like we don't have to fight whenever we can live parallel.
absolutely.
Because often like in the traditional sense of prayer, and I could be wrong based off my experience of prayer, it's like
Go off.
we're asking for a higher power to bless somebody, to give good, right? To create
Good chi.
good
karma.
good karma, goodwill, whatever, right? Whereas like our spiritual practice of tarot, we're not asking a higher power. We're like, hey, all of us in the room are here right now. We are going to empower you to figure out how to be your best self and create whatever it is
It makes
you're
you in
wanting.
the driver's seat.
Correct. Yeah, it's not passing it off to somebody else or a group of people who then have to like hear your prayer or answer your prayer. It literally is like, hey, you have it within you. Like all of us have divine within us is kind of my belief. Like all of us are connected to the universe where we come, we go the same way. Like, and so it's really about like reminding that each of us have that divinity and that power to like become our own author, become our own agent of change. That for me, that's the difference between like prayer versus
Practice.
a ritual and tarot is that like it's empowerment. It's not asking for.
It also makes you like more responsible because like you need to set the intention of okay, like how am I going to get there? Am I just going to meditate? Am I going to cleanse myself with moon water, sage? Am I going to take whatever avenue it takes to get to that point of realization, especially about a topic that you're really intimate about and you care much about, and you're putting that focus into something for a reason. And I feel like that's how I got to such a comfortable place with like just being able to be open and vulnerable and speak what's on my mind. And like if I'm having a struggle, be like, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm struggling with. How do I overcome that? Like when I lost my job and I looked to tarot and the group for ideas and like what route should I go? Should I be creative? Should I stick to my guns and work for the man or the government? Or it just came a lot of questions. And I feel like it really helps when you have like big life changes. It helps give you a direction.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect example, Dylon. Like with tarot, you set your intention of like, okay, this is the issue that I need some guidance on, like career. What are my next steps? And tarot's never going to give you a direct, like, this is what you should do. But you will always leave, like, your reflection, your reading with it. Okay, here's my new set of intentions. I came in with these intentions, and now I'm exiting with these intentions and ideas for what I want to do next.
I like to write down the cards that I get when I do bigger spreads because it needs that extra, like, I need the stringent writing down of remembering it and, like, learning the cards and understanding. When I first started, I was doing daily readings because that's kind of how I learned tarot. And that's always a suggestion too, is do a daily reading.
Yeah. One card a day.
One card a day. Just pull the card that feels the most pulled to you. But also, like, even shuffling techniques are different for each person. Because I shuffle like this and my cards jump. Like, that's how I tell what cards want to be pulled for me, is I go until they start jumping out.
I feel like I've gotten to a good space with my comfortability and being able to be authentic because it allows me so much free self-expression, and the people that I'm around to really help. But it's not even just in my coven where I experience bliss with tarot practice or Wiccan practice. I also infuse that in my home life and in my work life. Anyone who's like open and curious about like what I do and what I learn, I always take the time to like tell them what I know and the resources I have and what I can give to them if they're looking into self-reflection as well. And having my own like deck that I get to bring to work, and you know, if anyone ever has a question, they just come up to me and it's like, "Hey Dylon, can I have a reading?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." I love reading, bitches.
Oh, you in a tarot reading?
Oh, tarot. Okay, well, still yes.
But, I mean, the cards will read you that way too.
And it's a great way of building bonds with the people I work with and building bonds with people outside of my coven as well. And, you know, it's a really good, like, opening exercise to intimacy and exploring their world. And being comfortable with others makes me comfortable. So that's how I feel like I've gotten to this point.
I love that you've gotten to that stage of tarot. That makes me super happy. Because that's the stage, like, I'm in right now. It's like, I've had so much joy from it personally, and then I got to a point where, like, I want to share this joy. I want to co-create this joy with others. So yeah, where I see tarot going, I love that y'all are hosting the next tarot night. And yeah, I want to mix it up because it's fun to have routine and you know, there's room for tradition, just so it's like the Hierophant and the tarot deck, right?
Yeah.
Tradition is helpful, but also it's good to like mix it up and
Change is welcome, especially a tarot.
Change is always welcome. So I hope other members, other members have like hosted tarot nights. And yeah, it really is all about like community and connection and just showing up for each other. Like that's
bringing yourself and what you bring too, because different people enjoy different aspects of the practice. Some people really enjoy the self-reflection and the tarot and learning exactly like how to read the card, what the card is, how does it apply. And then there's other people that really enjoy the ritual part and the holding of hands and the chanting and, you know, cleansing ourselves with moon water or crystals or incense, whatever it may be. It allows people to bring something they're passionate about with them to tarot.
I think my comfortability with all of it and like what I see out of tarot for me personally, I've really enjoyed broadening my horizons on like what kind of practices I envelop in my overall practice. You've brought rituals. That's been a new thing. I've really found it to make me get comfortable with being uncomfortable because I'm not used to chanting with people. I'm not used to like being like heard. Like I still have a fear of perception sometimes, especially when it comes to like religious, spiritual things. I still get very like nervous that somebody's going to judge me for just being present. And like I'm getting through her. But like you've helped a lot by just wanting to do more of those. And I'm not going to shut you down because absolutely not. That's not my judge. By empowering other people, we then get to see a different side of the world. And that's kind of what tarot means to me, is we get to see different parts of the world through different people. And that's where therapy comes into play for me and you as well. Like we want to learn people's stories. We want to hear what's going on for them because we want to help. Like that our entire purpose is to help the other person. Like we
Yeah.
literally, that's all we
That's
want
the
to
job.
do. Like, that's all I want to
That's
do.
the assignment.
Yeah, like I'm not here to make you feel bad about yourself. I'm here to make you feel good about yourself, even if you have done something bad.
Right.
Or, you know, you're feeling down, depressed boots, and like, how can I help you? Like, let's turn this sad ship around. Or like a friend struggling with something, or a friend super happy about something, and you're sharing in their joy. Like, it's all about meeting everyone where they're at and supporting them in the way that they best work. And, you know, just telling somebody what they should do isn't always the best option. You know, if, like, bring a resource like, hey, you know, this book might really help you. You know, this ritual might really help you out. Or, you know,
Do the spread.
yeah, like, there's lots of room for help. And it's just you having to be willing to ask for it and be okay receiving all different mixed critiques, because sometimes the dolls will read.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's coming from a place of love, not a place of hate. And they just want to push you, build you to that better person. And it's because we all know we have that unlocked divine potential.
I think I kind of want to steal something from what we're going to do Wednesday with the whole group and kind of talk about what cards we feel are drawn to us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Was mine the Queen of Pentacles? Is that what I got last time at Tarot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She really sang in my ear.
Because she's mother, she's creator of safe spaces.
Yeah.
She's, I am your home. Come, let me protect you.
Yeah, which is very my energy. I, before Dylon had moved in, I pretty much had people in this house every single day, which is still true. But like, I was the host house. Like, I love having people. I love having a community. I love going to community as well. So we all know community is important to me, and so are people. So this gives us an opportunity to have a bigger conversation about like how all of these things play into part within queerness too. So like, oftentimes our Wiccan and our tarot readers are often queer or women.
Or people of color,
neurodivergent.
Yeah.
They're often the others because
the others.
because we see as we talked about, people get put into their bubbles or whatever, and like we find liberation through others and other practices and other ways to do things. I think Ty and I were talking about marriage and how like Latrice Royale had brought up in some interview sometime, don't quote me on this, that we need to, as like gays and queers, get rid of the term marriage and find something else that works better for us as queer people, because marriage is that like initial social construct between man and woman, and that's their problem, is they like, marriage is between man and woman. Okay, we'll just make something else.
We'll call it partnership.
Prostitution.
Horses.
Horses. We're married horses. But I think having those kinds of conversations gives us an opportunity to find that, because our community is longing for a staple that's ours and like something that we can actually hold on to. Like, we have partnerships, but like straight people use partner as well. It's not all encompassing to us only. Like, yes, we want to include everybody all the time, but like
Only people there with the right reason.
marriage doesn't include us. They legally don't want it to include us. So, like, we can legally not include them.
Oh, you want it in the cool kids club now?
You wanted a twist, eh? How about a law?
Actually, you know what? You're welcome, because now you're at the point of self-realization where you're like, oh, maybe I am a bigoted bitch.
Yeah, if you're watching this and you've gotten this far, we're probably not talking about you, or we're going to have a conversation later.
But I feel like my cards that I really am connected with and draw to are the Emperor and also the Star, but also the Queen of Wands. Because I like the passionate cards. I like the go-getter, the chasing. Also the Knight of Swords. Like, I feel like a lot of them apply to me on the daily. Swords, everyone? It's just all about taking charge and initiative in your spaces and being like, you know, this is what I want. This is what I want for others. This is how I can, you know, get to a place where I am at my best self with people. And it's always just coming from a place of me wanting to better myself and to better my situation and those around me, and really try and do my best for community. And make sure that everybody's looking forward and not always behind, because we can let things go and move forward and feel okay with that. We can be nostalgic. We can have those times where we need to draw on the past. But I'm all about charging forward, and every day's a new day, and to tackle it the best way you can. And for me, it's the Dylon way. And that's that. That's that on that. Period.
Oh gosh. Okay. The cards that speak to me. Well, you mentioned earlier the Seven of Cups is kind of my card.
The ADHD card.
The ADHD card. Because the card depicts, a person looking in front of them. There's a cloud, and then there's 7 chalices or cups with different sparkly objects or different things that are maybe not that great, right? It's kind of like a kid in a candy store. He's just looking at everything. And because there's so many appealing choices, he's frozen. He's not making a decision of which one is the right one. And so the meaning that comes through to that card, or the message, usually when you get that in a reading, is hey, there are a lot of beautiful things in front of you. There are many paths before you for you to choose. But you can't have them all. And you shouldn't want to have them all. So just go ahead and pick 1 or 2 that you want to go for, and let those other ones fall to the side. There will be another time where maybe those will come back around, and maybe then you'll choose them that time. But the Seven of Cups card is, it's very much the distraction and the hyperfixation of all the pretty things, and I want to do everything, and I want to, that it is the ADHD. It just is the ADHD card. I don't know how to say it.
When you're not, you give High Priestess down boots.
Yeah. So the other card I resonate with is High Priestess, which, she's all about exploring our magic, our inner demons, our dark side that maybe we don't necessarily reveal to others, our secrets, our desires, our fears. She's about okay, let's go through the things that we're ashamed of. Let's unpack that. Let's acknowledge we've been through some trauma, and let's work through it. It's everybody is a complicated person. No one is fully the hero or the villain of their story, right? And the High Priestess is all about there's darkness in us, but that darkness has a purpose. It's not a bad thing that each of us have that darkness.
You're very good at bringing those things to the surface. He said, let me just...
I mean, as a therapist, that's kind of my job, right? We create a space for people to confront that shame, to confront that grief or that trauma. That's the point of therapy, is to tell that story and to talk about those things, not let them settle down there in the depths of your mind. We have to bring those to the surface so that we can better cope with them, because otherwise they're just going to fester and grow bigger and feel heavier. And then you're carrying that heavy festering weight around you your entire life, and you're wondering why am I unhappy?
Because you never let that shit go.
That part. Yeah. You gotta let it go, girl. Like Elsa. Thank you, lesbian mother. Nice witch.
But you also get 10 of Cups or Justice energy as well.
I do get that one a lot.
Because it's just the community cards too. Yeah. Because that's where your strength is, my strength is, your strength is we always bring the community with us. And we always think about them and how we can include, not exclude anyone. Thank you, Byron, for joining us on this week's episode, talking everything tarot and Wiccan. Your knowledge is vast and incomparable.
Thank you.
And without it, I would personally be lost. So,
well, I continue to grow in my knowledge because of you and because of our coven. So it's not just me.
It takes a village.
We all grow and learn from each other.
With that, we will see y'all next time.
Thank you so much for watching Queeries.
À tout à l'heure. Mwah.